Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning. Seth not showing up. No, of course I'm going to show up. I'm always going to show up. I just might be like 5 minutes late. Actually, you know, I totally forgot. I need to like change all my clocks because my clocks say that it was 6:35. Like I thought, oh, we're doing okay. And then I get on and it's like way late. By the way, does the sound okay? I recorded yesterday. You know, that kind of gets your setup all messed up. You can see here. This is not, the lighting is not right. But we'll fix that in a second. Let's go to the charts. So I noticed as I was sitting there eating lunch or breakfast, good grief, Seth. The treasuries were moving quite a bit here. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's just come back here and look at the last. See the last 20. Okay, so the range isn't very much, but it's moved around a lot. That's interesting. What's going on? Well, we're a little bit higher. Treasuries continue their march higher. And my thoughts this morning is, given the direction of the economy right now, and particularly this whole AI thing, like the headline I saw on Zero Hedge this morning was that stock buybacks are at risk because of CapEx expenditure and data center build out. So if that's the case, the market is not going to be able to sustain itself without lower interest rates. S&P 500, okay, so they are struggling a little bit this morning. Not too bad. I mean, really, the big decline was last Thursday. Oil. Okay, oil a little bit higher than we were from Friday. But quite a bit of zigzag in the overnight sessions. Gold doing okay. We got to zoom out a little bit. Can you believe it's been almost half a month since that big blowout in gold and silver? Yeah, I think late bulls are probably stuck, but all of the dynamics that got me into silver and gold in the first place are still there. So that doesn't necessarily mean they make new all-time highs, but now copper. Again, copper has started to follow. I mean, when you look at it, there's similarities there, right? Even though it didn't, you can kind of see some correlation there. Japanese yen, okay, they're doing okay. I'm okay with them just holding that area in the Japanese yen. Yeah, well, let's wait and see what happens. Get some good economic data. That's cool. All right, what about Bitcoin? Okay, they're holding steady still. I am concerned. Let's come back to the E-mini. Actually, let's go to an E-mini on a daily chart. Okay, so we've never gotten to that, anywhere close to that 200-day moving average throughout this whole run since well, geez, the tariff thing, the whole tariff thing last year. It's been almost a year. Wow. Anyways, nowhere even close to it. So I'm kind of thinking, if the market is set for more of a serious downturn, and honestly, by the way, this dotted line, that's ATR stop. So it's based on the average true range. So like the CTAs, everything went to like right where the CTAs would maybe like puke and flip around and then shot back higher. Okay, but we're like approaching that level again, and then below us would be the 200-day moving average, all right? And let's come over here and check what we got this morning. So, by the way, we will be running a shortened session today. I've got to go in like 30 minutes, actually, because I got a dentist appointment. Wow, they are getting hammered there. That was like 3 ticks. All, oh, wait, I didn't even switch screens. 3 ticks. All just then and all just now. Checking the lights. I'm thinking maybe the ring light can be a little bit lower. There, that looks more even to me. All right, anyways. Forex Factory, what do we got this week? All right, big iceberg going there now, too. Okay. Today, NAHB Housing Market Index. Building permits, housing starts. Core durable goods. FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday. By the way, something I would always watch for on FOMC meeting minutes is retail traders that think that it's the FOMC. Okay, so got to keep an eye out for that one. Unemployment claims Thursday, of course. GDP this week. Okay. So a much lighter schedule, though. I don't know. I kind of liked it better at 35, I think. I just need them to both be 35. Yeah. The colors look better, though. Got a better... Well, it's a slightly smaller aperture. I don't know why I thought that it should just stay the same all the time. I couldn't figure out what Uzi was saying there. Now I see it's Teefies. Oh. I got so many things open here still from the weekend. I felt like I had an okay productive weekend. Just okay productive. I really wanted to get started on the taxes. And then it was like, oh, we got to go shopping and blah, 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 blah. And of course, whenever they go shopping, it's like they'll try on a trillion things and think that none of them fit. And then, so didn't get started in Texas, but we did do a lot of work on our volatility measures. So now the dollar isn't like, normally it was like it'd be zoomed out to there, right? But we've got a pretty good zoom in on it now. Let's load the levels over here though. Very good. So that just kind of shows us that right now we're pretty close to, well, what was the extended open? The extended open is below us, so actually not too sure. Maybe I just need to. No, I don't know. It should be loading up the next level below us, but it doesn't include the opens. So maybe I should have it include the opens in that. The next feature. Okay, what's the next feature? The getting it to scale correctly let's say interesting. Oh yeah, give the user more control over where the text is positioned. Totally. Actually, I would like, where's my code over here? Hold on. I was just gonna make it full screen over here and because I think so. The thing that's weird is that on my main one, it does it at just above the first line that you get for the extended session, but in the dollar index for some reason it does it at the maybe it's a regular session one. I don't know. It's just doesn't put it where I kind of think that it should go by default. It should go by the open, or maybe something like I don't know, because there's so many options that if I gave users like every possible option there possibly was, that would probably be a little overwhelming. So we've got to come up with a set that you know is limited but gives people all of the customization that they really actually need. So, but I kind of think by default we should put it by the open, and then maybe we say, oh, you want it by the first level, but then if it's outside of the view, it will just put it at the top or something like that, right? I would suggest the bottom or the top of the panel on the center of the day. I kind of think like, would you really rather have it be like, you know, as the day progresses and then it's not there anymore, and you don't like that? Because it doesn't need to be in the middle of all the price. Well, sure. I kind of feel that you want to have it where it was measured, right? Because the volatility level does change throughout the day. Okay, treasury's still under pressure here. And it looks like the E-mini is shooting off now. Let's see here. Maybe let's check Twitter and see if we've got some. Morgan Stanley assumes coverage on North American large cap banks with attractive view. Prefers Citigroup as his top picks. Trump. Oh yeah, Jesse Waters died overnight. And I was thinking as I was eating, I bet you Trump's gonna say something nice about him. Let's see what he said. Jesse was a force of nature like few others before him. He had much to do with the election without acknowledgement or credit of Barack Hussein Obama, a man who Jesse could not stand. He just turned Jesse. No, it says Jesse Waters. I think you're right. It is Jesse Jackson. Wait, where did I get Waters from? Anyways, you're right. It's Jesse Jackson. One of these tweets that I was reading said Waters for some reason. Anyways, he loved his family greatly, and to them I send my deepest sympathies and condolences. Jesse will be missed! Exclamation point. Oh, is that the Fox house? Maybe I was misreading the tweet. I'm sorry. I can't even see where that is now. Where did I get waters from? Oh, Goolsby is speaking. Goolsby, services inflation is, quote, not tame. Mm-hmm. Recent headline inflation was partly pulled down due to base effects. I don't know, man. I just don't trust Goolsby anymore. Is it fair? I feel that when inflation was hot, this guy was the most dovish person on the board, on the FOMC, on the committee. I shouldn't say board, on the committee. All through the whole inflation saga, he was the most dovish guy on the committee. And then all of the sudden, past year, because it's Trump, he's been the most hawkish. I can't take anything he says seriously. But he is saying something. He is on the committee. It probably is part of why the treasuries are moving down here. Well, is services inflation not tame? I have not seen anything. I cannot recall anything, at least, that says, like, services inflation is a problem. My recollection on all of the numbers, particularly the CPI on Friday, is that it all looks like inflation normalizing. And that all of the levels that you sit down and you say, oh, it's high, is just leftover effects from before. Other things catching up, and not any kind of inflation that the Federal Reserve has to worry about. Well, we're just checking here if there's anything else they're talking about. What else? There was a number of cultural headlines this morning. I guess the other thing that I saw was that there was another shooting over the weekend, and this time it was a man shot his family, but he was also a crossdresser. So I don't know what that one is all about. That one's, but I bet you that the right wingers are going to be going crazy over that all day. From Pawtucket. Also, I predict that there will be many offensive yet funny poems written about the Pawtucket shooting. I'm sure that you could probably go to ChatGPT and ask it to write one right now, and it would be hilarious. But I'm not going to do that. That would be an awful thing. I would never do something like that. I thought about it, obviously, but I'm not going to do it. We shouldn't do that. Shouldn't joke about it. It's not funny. I'm only thinking about it because I know people are going to do it, right? The guy was a mashup. Well, but the thing that I read, really, oh jeez, the thing that I read was that he went to the ice rink to shoot his family. Like, who does that? That's crazy. A crazy person? How does a how does a crazy person that crazy like a man? How does a man that crazy get a whole family? And like I would think that if a man with a family was that crazy, that his family would probably do something before he got to that point. Like, I don't know, man. That sort of a thing is much more rare. Well, I don't know. I take that back. Probably probably a man like murder suicide is probably common, isn't it? More common than we would like to think, at least. That he what? The more you tell me about this, the more I'm like, what the f- going on? He was having back and forths on Twitter with Alec Jones the day before. Ugh. Here's yeah, big mess. Here's what bothers me about these things. Okay, because if you go on social media, let's just like be broad about it. You go on social media because Reddit usually doesn't like to talk about these sorts of things, and if they do, they're concerned talking about it will spur violence against transgender people, right? And if you go on the Donald, the people on the Donald are going to say, see, I told you that all of the transgender people are crazy and that we need to do something about it. I mean, when I hear the right wing talk, yeah, I admit I get online and I can see people on Reddit talking, and the most unhinged radical group of people out there are the transgender subreddits. And the left has been whipped up into a frenzy, and the amount of left-wing violence that you will see is almost certain to go up. It's just and the thing that bothers me is that we can all see this stuff happening online, and they just kind of twiddle their thumbs and are like, oh no, it's fine, don't worry about it, you're just being a crazy right-winger. Like, no, these we're watching them literally go crazy online in real time, and then whenever anybody says something about it, they're just shadow banned. Yeah, it's not that all the trans people are crazy. You're just going to have a greater statistical probability of finding crazy in that demographic. Well, yeah, and I guess one of the things I'm trying to say is I'm not sure if it's that there's something uniquely crazy about that demographic as much as it is that in this situation, in this cultural situation, that's where they go, right? If it was a different time, the crazy people would probably be attracted to something different. This is another thing that I think bothers me. I guess maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. But something that bothers me is that people think that the craziness is a partisan thing. And it's not that. Crazy people are attracted by politics, but not to any specific ideology. I would imagine it's a uniquely isolating and lonely life, and that's why it's so heavily love-bombed. Yeah. Well, it probably is a uniquely isolating and lonely life, that's for sure. My wife, who's a flight attendant, has told me many stories, and it's kind of like, wow, you wouldn't think that a person would have more than one story like this, but of interactions with trans women at work and whatnot. And she always says, like, why do they want to talk to me so bad? But it's like, well, they probably want to talk to anybody that will listen to them, and you're the kind of person that will put up with it. So they will immediately latch onto you. You're on the mix of rampant narcissism in social media and the perpetual disappointment of politics as a recipe for personality collapse. Do you think, I think that there's narcissism, and then there's like social media induced obsession of your appearance. And I think that there are different things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the psychological underpinnings of narcissism are the same thing as what we see in these people that get obsessed with social media. But that's just a theory. I don't know if I really have anything to back that one up. And again, the other frustrating thing about it is that, like, it makes me nervous to talk about it because people have been shadow banned for talking about it. But I think it's worth mentioning, even in the context of our day trading, because you are seeing an explosion in left-wing violence, and it is driven by the internet, and nobody's doing anything about it. And I'm convinced that at some point it will be economically relevant. Right? This can only go on for so long before they're like, hey, Facebook, guess what? You know what I mean? And like, really, if you look at the thing, Facebook in particular, I think Facebook is the worst one. Not that, it's kind of weird because some people, like, there are people on both the left and the right that hate Mark Zuckerberg, right? There are people on both the left and the right that the left think that Mark is a right winger and the right think that he's a left winger. I kind of seems to me like maybe he's gone back and forth. But I think that one of the things that happened was Facebook said, well, let's see what we can do with our algorithms and how that influences people and stuff. And because they even did this thing where, like, they had done some internal research about it to see what was the best for the algorithms. And then afterwards they were like, maybe we shouldn't do this. Like, yeah, you think? Facebook in particular has done a lot of messing around with their algorithms and messing with people. And it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before government steps in and says, yeah, you can't do this with your algorithm, you can't do this with your algorithm, and put some restrictions on it. Restrictions that probably reduce engagement and make Facebook less profitable. In fact, I could see maybe 30 years from now, social media being a very difficult arena to compete in. Like, it'll be one of those businesses that, like, Facebook is still around, but, like, nobody else can really get in and be competitive, and Facebook doesn't make that much money because it'll be, like, so heavily regulated and everything else. You see what I mean? So to me, it's not like transgender issue. It's just that's the place where it's being seen. So to me, it's a social media issue. Oh, the wild thing is that the trans demo is heavily skewed on the male to female side for that. Wait, for what very reason? A deadly combination of the abdication of responsibility for women with the capacity and greater propensity for violence of men. Oh, so you think that traditionally the transgender demo is more male to female because you think that these men rather, don't want as much responsibility. I think the other thing that people will say is that it's really more that women get more attention. They want more attention, which maybe plays into that. Is it narcissism thing? But I don't know. I kind of feel like that it's traditionally it's been such a rare thing that Like one of the other things that I found really quite startling was during the Biden years, it literally became a trend among the youth to become transgender. And you saw a massive number of women transitioning to men. And it appears to me and many like doctors and you know people in the industry, I wouldn't say that everybody, but and it was very controversial at the time, but I think as time has gone on, they are starting to be proven correct that it was like a social disease of sorts, like kind of like anorexia, that like, you know, you get a group of women that are much more prone to negative feelings, because that's women are more prone to negative feelings, and for some of them it kind of pushes them into the craziness. And in the 90s it was anorexia, and now it's trans except for that with being trans, like there's very severe negative health outcomes that come off of that. So now you're getting all these people like suing the doctors that did the transitions on them. And again, it's like we're not allowed to talk about it, but it's happening. It's happening. We said at the time that that's what's going to happen, and we're being proven correct. That's why you never hear headlines about male to male trans people trying to play men's sports. Wow. I don't know. I bet you. It would be interesting to see. This is I don't know, guys. I'm messed up in the head, really. We're talking about crazy people. I'm not like a crazy go and do something crazy, you know, stupid. But I'm crazy like I know that the way that my brain works is not the way that most people's do. Because I'm immediately sitting here thinking like, well, if we could design a study that looks at this particular demographic, are there more female to male trans people that regularly play sports versus male to female that regularly play sports? You're going to hear about the male to female ones because they'll be like the top of their field, and so the media is going to like talk about that. But I would think that it would be the female to male ones that would be more likely to do it. You just never hear about them because they're just doing it like recreationally. That culture placates the issue specifically for the male to female segment of the trans demo because of its propensity and capacity for violence. Okay. I'm not saying like what you just said doesn't make sense or anything like that. I'm not sure what the larger point is. Like I feel like I've lost track of your thesis. Like that's your theory, but like why is that your theory? Is it basically they're worried that they're going to be violent and so they treat them that way? And ergo, I don't know, man. Kind of like that media. Yeah, you beat me to it. Europe's approach to Islam is different because they're afraid of their Islamic population becoming violent. Yeah. I'm genuinely worried. Like this is something that will pop through my head on its own, unprompted, without reading any news stories about it or anything like that. Like possible future political violence. And one of the places that I think that you're going to start to see it more and more is when it comes to Islam. I would hope that we don't see as much, radical Islamic terrorism. It seems like that over the years, that has died down a little bit. But I think you're going to start to see violence the other way too. Like, this is part of why I'm saying, like, I don't think that it's just like, this particular demographics are particularly crazy, and so we've got to watch them and be. No, I think that it's like, it's a social media thing, and you can watch the social media and know which place is going to be radicalized and violent next. And I think that the group of people that, like, they're not there, but like 10 years from now, they could be there and you could see increased violence, is from right-wingers attacking Muslims. And it's a difficult, that one is another one of those, in my opinion, intractable issues. Like, there's clearly a societal issue there, and we've opened the door, and now there's nothing you can do about it. Over time, even if the United States really clamps down on its immigration policy and all that sort of a thing, over time, the percent of the population that is Muslim in the entire Western world is going to increase. And there are two sides to the Muslim world, because one side of it is, I think, completely in line with, or has aligned itself with Western values and is compatible. And there's another side of it that is not. And you're always going to get half and half. And then, of course, you're going to have people in the Muslim world that fight each other. And it's not pretty. Now, on the other hand, I think you hit on the most important thing to say about it earlier, which was that, like, the people that are very isolated and don't really have anybody in their life and those sorts of things, those are the ones that you got to be the most concerned about. It's true. Because other people moderate you, essentially. So if you're a person that, like myself, that you wake up, you have a live stream, you have your group of friends that you're talking to every day, and then you go to work and you have your team that you talk to every day at work, and you have the people that you see every day at lunch, and then you come home and you spend several hours with your wife and your kids every day. All those things keep you grounded. They prevent you from going off your rocker. It really does. Whereas if you're marooned on an island and you're by yourself for 10 years, you will go crazy. Pretty much everybody that happens to, they go crazy. Right? And a lot of the trends in our society has been towards isolating people socially, which is a large part of why you see these increased incidents. And again, I think it's economically significant because at some point you're going to start seeing laws and it's going to start affecting what companies have to do and stuff. So, kind of one of the things that I've been I'm concerned about increases in violence and political violence across the spectrum. And I said I'm concerned about right-wing violence against Islam, but I think that's maybe a little bit further out. The one that's kind of more imminent is, if we continue to see the stock market go the way that it is, which is basically every tech company, every software as a service company out there just gets absolutely decimated. Okay. I'm very concerned about where that goes, both for the economy and for the social fabric of our society. Because, you know, I love the people that I work with, and anybody that I've ever worked with in Utah at all of the companies that I've worked with, but I'm in Utah, right? When I go on and I think of what is the average tech worker that, you know, just based off of what I see on Reddit, for instance, I am very concerned about what those people will do if they start suffering from long-term unemployment. Because these are people that are pretty isolated, that don't have other people, that they've kicked their parents out of their life, they're single, you know, or even if they're married, they don't have kids, right? And a year of unemployment is pretty brutal. And if this continues, it's going to start turning into 2, 3, 5 years of unemployment for some people. Even in possibly including myself. So for that, you know, I have lots of other things to do. But you get what I'm saying? So like this whole setup that we've got with all of the money going into data centers, and unless you take all of those tech workers and find them a transition over into the data centers and they're employed in the data centers, if they're all just put out of work, even if it's a temporary thing, like I still ultimately believe that AI will result in more jobs being created than destroyed, and it will increase economic growth. But there's going to be that transition. There's going to be turmoil in that transition. And if the transition is too tumultuous, you know, these are people that want to start a communist revolution and stuff. They will do crazy things. So let's just hope that they lower interest rates, okay? So that we can have a smooth transition. Hmm? Thing is, it ain't my problem to fix. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so if you have like one of the things that was really difficult for me, because one of my kids was kind of they didn't think that they were transgender, but like that was the crowd that they were hanging out with, and very concerned about the mental health issues. And what am I supposed to do about it? It is my problem, and there's nothing you can do. I usually try to be very optimistic. Today I was very pessimistic. I blame Uzi. It's all Uzi's fault. We're going to lower interest rates. All of the software as a service companies are going to skyrocket and everything's going to be fine. It's all going to be great, folks. I'm on a smoke break. That is the sort of thing you would tend to talk about on a smoke break. How messed up the world is. All right. Well, by the way, they did not even slow down at R plus 2 sigma. So, but they're getting close to E plus 2 sigma. So already the treasuries have fallen much further than volatility would suggest. And I really don't think that can just be Goolsby. So and I'm not sure, by the way, what the jump was. Actually, let's come to CNBC here real quick. Figma partners with Anthropic to turn AI-generated code into edible designs. That's the only one I'm seeing. It could be that. It could be Figma. Figma, like, those are the kinds of names. Could that cause a little jump in the equity indexes? Maybe. But let's just see how this session goes. I really hope that what we see is a moderation of the turmoil that we saw in the markets last week. So I'm going to get going, guys. Stay excellent, team.